hello everybody, welcome. So we are here for a live revision tutorial today, and if you're watching the recording, please do fast whilst we wait for a few people to join us. If you're here live with me, let me know you're listening and you can hear and see me okay. A couple of little thumbs up would be grand, or you can just pop a little comment below. If you've got comments and questions, pop them in now and then I can get around to answering them and do them as part of this lovely live thing. So I'm going to check everything is all good. Please do pop a little comment. Let me know how you're doing. Today, we had something that actually it was really nice to be able to go through each of the mock questions and explain the answers and break it down a little bit. How you'd answer the physical questions themselves. So how would you answer the question if you're in an exam? How do you break it down to understand it a little bit? Open today to talk about anything you wish. If you've got any questions going through with your, then please do pop them in. I can see there's a couple of you watching. I can't see any names, and live and on YouTube live, so you're more than welcome to hop onto either of them. From history, comments works much better on Facebook. If you're watching it afterwards, YouTube generally does pretty well because it's obviously a nice easy way for you to store it. Vickers, lovely to see you. Thank you for being here today. Do you have any particular questions at all? Kelly, hello. Fantastic. Lovely. I like it when I know who's there. Nice. Okay. Get a nice little regular group going. I like it. Let me know. Do you have any questions in particular, or what are you preparing for? So, Kelly, you're level 2, and I've definitely got some level 2 anatomy and physiology stuff for you. I made sure. Jackie, top of my head, I believe you were level 3 because you were looking for nutrition as well, weren't you? So I'm believe you must be level, double check. We've had a lovely week. Glorious sunshine down in Devon. I'm sure everywhere has been glorious sunshine. So I've basically cracked out my work as quickly as I could in the morning and then got down the beach, which is why I'm probably looking a little bit bronzed. So Jackie, level 3, perfect. Okay, so I've got a mixture. I've got some level 2 questions, some level 3 questions, and apparently it was received quite well when we kind of get a mock question going. You guys try and answer it live, and then we talk through the explanation of what it is. And I also want to give you a couple of tips of how to break down a question so you know you're answering, even if the wording is shocking. By shocking, I mean trying to catch you out, maybe. That might be the words that you might use. So I'm about ready to get going, I reckon. I reckon some of you are probably ready to get going, and I'm sure more people will join us as we go through. Pop a little comment in, let me know what you'd like to cover. Have you come across any questions that are confusing you? What was one of the questions that we had in particular? Oh, we don't want that one. That's principles. So let me hop over and get the 88. Fantastic. So level 2. I reckon we start with level 2 because that'll be a good recap for you, Jackie. And also, Kelly, that's exactly what you're at. Kelly, when's your exam? That must be soon. It feels like we've been chatting for ages. It's probably only been like a couple of weeks. It feels like we've been chatting for months. which component of the skeletal system, this is from level 2, which component of the skeletal system, okay, Kelly, 25th, not long, we're doing all right. What, another 10, 11 days, if I can remember what day of the year, of the month we're in. Okay, so here's our question. This is a level 2 one, so Kelly, get on there with your answer as quickly as you can. Which component of the skeletal system is made up of the upper and lower limbs and the pelvic and shoulder girdle? Skeletal system, upper and lower limbs and the pelvic and shoulder girdles. Is it A, skeleton, the skull? Which component and the pelvic and shoulder girdles? Pop a little comment in. If you're over on YouTube, even when you comment, for some reason I don't seem to see them. And might be best off to page if you join in, and it seems to be a little bit more real time. If you want to leave a comment on the YouTube, please do. Straightforward, it's just something. Highlight component of the skeletal system is made up and the pelvic and shoulder girdles. The appendicular skeleton, the actual skeleton, looking like a unanimous. Okay, cool. So the answer is A, appendicular. Awesome. We clearly know that. So well done, Kelly and Jackie. Spot on. In relation to why, I'll be interested. How do you know it's the appendicular? I just want to know. Which is intrigued whether that's how you remembered it, especially Kelly, because I know you're working on that one at the moment. So it as a little scribble as well to go with it, the way I remember it in particular is the law of the ones and the twos. So it's pretty straightforward. So you know that if there's one of them in your body, then it's the axial skeleton. That's all you need to remember. If there's two of them in your body, then you know it's the appendicular skeleton. So when it offers this question and it says which component of the yes, remember there's two of everything. Fantastic. Which component of the skeletal system is made up of the upper and lower limbs? So then go, okay, upper and lower limbs, do I have one of them or two of them? I.e., do you have a right and a left? I.e., that's two of them. So upper and lower limbs, yes. Pelvic and shoulder girdles. Now, pelvis is the bit that people get confused on because we call it pelvis, but it's a pelvic girdle and it's distinctively in two. You've got two ilium, you've got two pubic bones, so it's two halves on the pelvic girdle, two pelvic girdles left and right, and then two shoulder girdles, which is your shoulder blades in your as well. So your shoulder blades in particular, that part of that makes up your shoulder girdle, and you have two of them, which makes it appendicular. If that's new to anyone, fantastic. And then in terms of breaking down that question, the other three answers are all very similar. The skull, you only got one of them, must be axial. The axial skeleton, well, that's another answer that could be, potentially. And the spine, well, you know that the upper and lower limbs aren't part of the spine anyway. But the spine, we only have one vertebral column. We only have one of each vertebra. We don't have a left and a right of them. Although I did used to train with somebody who spinal columns, and as a result, they had their spine, and that was an interesting relationship. But 1 and 2s is a really easy way of remembering it. So everybody that's listening, is there a particular area you would like to go through? Okay, I'm going to from you on is, I'm going to do this a little bit quicker. Osteoblasts are cells that Law of Art by Stephen Pressfield. So the 2 books that we've got going on. It's quite an epic tripod to be balancing the tripod on. So, right, we are back live on YouTube. Fantastic. Right, let's now have a look at your answers. Sorry. So, osteoblasts. Everybody's gone with A, and Joe, I believe you mean A as well. So, osteoblasts are cells that might have some connection issues going on. Osteoblasts are cells that help form bone, or build muscle, produce new cartilage, or D, help clear away old bone. Way to remember this is that osteoblasts build. So osteoblasts, the B in blasts, they help build, and then the osteoclasts collapse. And they're obviously collapsing bone, not muscle, or building bone, not muscle, because we've got the osteo in there. Osteo refers to bone, whereas muscle is myo. So in here, osteoblasts are going to build, and the answer closest to that is help form bone, which is A. So osteoblasts are cells that help form bone. They build bone. Awesome. Okay, this is nice today. Everybody's flying through it all. So let's give it that. I'm gonna choose a muscle one, still on level 2, and then we'll rack it up to level 3. Oh, okay, this is lovely. Right. Still appropriate, Joe, in relation to level 3 as well. Joe, I hope you're well, by the way. Always nice to see you. Which of the following muscles would be the prime mover during knee flexion? Question again. Which of the following muscles would be the prime mover during knee flexion? Is it A, soleus, B, hamstring, C, quadriceps, or D, gluteals? The thing I find hardest about this is I've got to do a poker face, and I'm very transparent. So I hope I don't give it away, kind of trying to do it Chris Tarrant style and not give away the answer. Which of the following muscles would be the prime mover during knee flexion? Is it A, soleus, B, hamstrings, C, quadriceps, or D, gluteals? Pop in your answer, and we're looking for prime mover during knee flexion. Now, this is a level 2 question, but I think it's fairly tough. It's thinking about all of those in relation to where are the muscles, and you've got to know what a prime mover is, and you've got to know what knee flexion is. So when you break down your answers and you have a little look, so Jared has gone for C, Kelly's gone, which was quadriceps, Kelly's gone for hamstring, which was B. So when you break down this question, it basically says on it which of the following muscles, so you know you need to highlight one muscle, would be the prime mover. So they want you to find the prime mover. Now, do you know what a prime mover is? That's the first question. So remind yourself in your head, what's a prime mover? Well, it's the main muscle. Prime means like one. It's like the main prime muscle that allows movement during an action in particular. And the action we're talking about is knee flexion. Now, the way to remember the flexion side of things, I'm really ramping up this answer, aren't I? The way to remember the flexion, okay, flexion, we're basically in a fetal position. So flexion is fetal. If you think that flexion basically is here. Now, the only alternative to that is that that's shoulder flexion, just to really confuse you. But basically, essentially, everything is in flexion if we're in a fetal position. So from this fetal position, what is your knee doing? Oh, it's bent. It's totally closed. That angle is closed. So what muscle would be responsible for allowing that knee flexion? So the answer is B, hamstrings. So massive well done for everybody. It isn't obviously that easy when you're breaking it down, especially if you're listening to it rather than seeing it. Personally, I like to be able to see the answers as well and the questions. Which of the following muscles would be the prime mover during knee flexion? So it is hamstrings. Soleus is going to be to do with plantar flexion, whereby you're pointing your toes. So just point my toes on the camera. Quadriceps are going to be knee extension. So in extension, you're in a fully extended position. So that's going to be a position whereby you're standing in that neutral position. Like you've seen on so many anatomical pictures, when somebody's standing with their palms facing forwards, hip shoulder width apart, that's everything is in extension. Your spine's in extension, your shoulders are in extension, they're by your side. Your hips are in extension, your knees are in extension because everything is extended, it's straight. So quadriceps are responsible for knee extension, and then gluteals are going to be responsible for hip extension. So they're responsible for extending that hip out. Nice one. Okay, does that make sense in relation to fetal is flexed, extension is extended? And that's a nice way of remembering those different ones for all the joint actions. It simplifies it. And then when you're breaking down that question, it's a case of they're looking for the prime mover. If we were talking about agonist, antagonist, it'd be a little bit different. So I've got one more in relation to muscles on here, and then we'll hop over to level 3. Because you're doing fantastic, and I can't resist. So, which of the following describes the role of a synergist muscle? What of the following describes the role of a synergist muscle? Is it A, a muscle which relaxes to allow movement? The main muscle involved in the action is B, sorry. Let me start again. Which of the following describe the role of a synergist muscle? A muscle which relaxes to allow movement. B, the main muscle involved in the action. C, the muscle which assists the main muscle in bringing about the action. Or D, a muscle which contracts statically to fix another body part. Whew. So we're talking synergist muscle. Is it A, basically relaxing to allow the movement? Is it B, the main muscle? Is it C, an assisting muscle that helps the main one bring about an action? Or is it D, a muscle which contracts statically to fix another body part? Whew. Go for it. Pop in a couple of questions. A couple of answers, in fact. A, B, C, or D? Having a look. B. Nice. Any more? Jared, you going to have another go? be back online. Wonderful. Hello. Describe the role of a synergist muscle. The answer is C. So, a synergist is the one that assists. It works in synergy with. So, if I said, oh, we work in synergy with each other, together, think that a synergist does that. So, if you're doing a bench press, as you do that bench press, your prime mover is your pec, but your synergist is your anterior deltoid, I was going mad then, anterior deltoid, and your tricep, which basically allow that to go about. It's not the prime mover, but it helps assist that movement. They work in synergy with the prime mover. The way you know the difference between the prime mover and is because the prime mover is the one that we generally talk about in relation to that exercise, because it is the one where the most load goes through, or it's the larger muscle that's taking most of the load. When you said the main muscle involved in action, Kelly, that would be a prime mover. And then the one that allows a muscle that relaxes to allow movement is the antagonist, which is the opposite, obviously, to the prime mover. Whew. Okay, if you're happy with that, give me a couple of little thumbs up. Let me check that you're with me and check that everything's all making sense. If it doesn't, you can give me an angry face. That's all good too. So for you, Joe, that was a good muscular one. I hope you were still listening. In fact, whilst I'm with you with the anatomy and physiology, I'm just going to pop in the mock questions, and this is for anybody that is doing their level 2 anatomy and physiology. Have a look at the comments and you will be able to grab I've done something bizarre, bear with me, I'm trying to never multitask. So I popped a link in on the Facebook. I'm going to go and do that on the YouTube now. This basically, go and download the mock questions I've just gone through. Now these mock questions essentially are the ones that I was going through. They are a mixture of past live questions, and they're also like ones that we've sort of tailored, and also a mixture of current released mock questions as well. So they're highly relevant for your exam, especially if you're doing it with Active IQ or CYQ. So if you're doing level 2 anatomy and physiology, make sure you download those so you can work on them. Now let's go for a level 3 anatomy and physiology muscle-based question. Based question for you later, that'd be good. Oh, okay. Okay, that's skeletal. Can't give you that one. That's a skeletal one. Muscles. Okay. What protects muscles and tendons when high levels of tension build up? Is it A, a baroreceptor, B, muscle spindle, C, nociceptors, D, Golgi tendon organs? So you got 4 options as always. What protects the muscle and tendons when high levels of tension build up? Now I want to use this as a bit of an example. So whilst you're going through and answering them, so the question itself is asking what protects muscles and tendons when high levels of tension build up. Things you need to know. First of all, you file it. Find the file that it's in. Muscles and tendons. So you know we're talking about the muscles here. So we're talking about muscles, tendons, when high levels of tension. So you know that it's going to be doing something. It's going to act doing something or sensing something in order, or in relation to tension, in order to protect the muscle. forming which one. Now, you've probably done a 50-50. If you're partway through this, you've probably gone between muscles and organs. And then it's just a case of remembering the difference. So, if you look at, let me get another bit of paper. I do get through my paper quickly. So if you look at the answers on here, the answer is D, Joe. Fantastic. Golgi tendon organ, just what we like. Now, it's not a baroreceptor because that's talking about pressure. It's not an osteoceptor. It's a proprioceptor, which means that you're left with the options of B and D. Now, proprioceptors sense your space. So, you know, people say, oh, my proprioception is talking about you in relation to the environment, or your anatomy, your muscle in relation to the environment. So, muscle spindles and Golgi tendon organs are the two proprioceptors, but they both sense different things. So, I'm going to have to do a really bad drawing to explain. Now, this is a muscle and a tendon. Nice, and it's red, which kind of works. So we've got these two. Then you've got a muscle spindle. Spindle kind of sounds like it's circular, doesn't it, as well, like a spinning wheel. But the way I generally remember it in relation to a spindle is that a spindle, the word spindle, has an L in it, and then that senses length. So spindle senses length. Like this kind of whirlwind sort of spring, spindle spring, that's the other way of thinking about it, that goes throughout the muscle itself. And it's a proprioceptor that senses the length of the muscle. Now, this one will kick in if your muscle gets too stretched. So have you ever done it when you've sort of been out, let's say you're out boogieing, tell I don't do that very often, and you slip on the dance floor and literally your legs split aside, and as a result you kind of get to that point where you suddenly go, can't go any further, and you start to contract your muscle and come back up. The moment when you go, can't go any further, that's your muscle spindle going too far, which is going to protect your muscle and tendons, but based on when you're at high stretch or high length point. So that's why it's not a muscle spindle, but it's a Golgi tendon organ, which sits predictably here in the tendon. So it's a GTO, Golgi tendon organ, sits here. Now this is like the boss. So it's the boss in terms of tension. So when the tension builds up, the Golgi tendon organ goes, can't handle this anymore. We need a little bit less tension here. We need to relax the muscle. So that action goes, nah, too tense, need to relax it. So this is the one that protects the muscle and tendons when high levels of tension build up. Way I remember that is GTO has a T for tension. I love a bit of alliteration. Or is it just me? Give me a thumbs up if this is making sense. GTO senses tension, T tension, spindle senses length. So remember, it's got the L in it. In relation to, some people say, oh, but Golgi's got an L in it. Well, if you break that down to GTO, there's no L, and that saves you lots of worries. So those of you that have been studying PNF stretching, you will be aware of these two very lovely proprioceptors, because when you do a PNF stretch, you're playing these two off against each other. You basically get to full stretch. Let's say we're doing hamstrings. You get to full stretch on that hamstring, and your muscle spindles go, can't go any further. If we go any further, I need to contract this muscle. I want to get it shorter. It's too long. I need to get it shorter. So the muscle spindles firing, asking you to make that muscle shorter. But instead of making it shorter, you then get your client to push against you to contract that muscle, which tricks it. Because usually when you contract a muscle, the muscle gets shorter, concentric contraction. But in this case, instead of it getting shorter, it's isometric. It stays the same length, but they're pushing against you. So the muscle spindle gets happy and goes, oh, okay, it must be okay on the length. And the GTO it hasn't kicked in yet until the tension gets so big when they're pushing against you that the tension gets so much they go, can't handle this anymore, got to relax. So that triggers it to relax. This one's triggering it to contract and shorten. We've tricked the spindle by going into a contraction that is isometric, so it doesn't get any shorter, but it thinks it is, so it's happy. Then when they apply the tension, the spindle's obviously switched off, it's happy. Then the Golgi tendon organ goes, this tension is way too much, I need you to relax. So as that GTO starts to relax, instead, they're pushing and pushing and pushing, doesn't say what direction you need that GTO to, that muscle to relax into. So you increase the range of movement, and then that's the relaxation away from the tension in the leg that's being caused. With a playing off between spindles and GTOs to allow you to increase your flexibility. Whew, that was PNF stretching. Sorry, it was a bit quick. I did have a coffee earlier, which isn't like me past 3 o'clock, so that may well be why I'm talking really fast. I had another question for you in relation to hormones, I believe. No, let's not do that one. Oh, this is a nice one. It's not hormones, it is nerve related. What does a motor unit consist of? So again, this is level 3. What does a motor unit consist of? Is it A, neuron and tendon, and fascia, C, neuron and muscle fibers, or D, neuron and collagen fibers? We're going to do this as a quick fire. I want those answers in as quickly as you can. What is it for motor unit consist of? A, neuron and tendon, B, neuron and fascia, C, neuron and muscle fibers, or D, neuron and collagen fibers? Pop your answers in. See if you can do it nice and quickly. To accompany these, I've also got some mock questions for you. Joe's going C. Anyone else? Quick fire. Also putting in the link so that you can download the 101 mock questions, which is what I'm reading these off. If you've not done that yet, I'm sure you will benefit massively from them. And then you can have level types of questions. Gary's gone C as well. Fantastic. So Joe and Gary going C. I'm so rubbish at this poker face thing, aren't I? Okay, so 101. Jackie's going C. Lovely, that is correct. So a motor unit is the neuron, and all of it is the nerve leading to the muscle. I can actually kind of draw that on here. So you've got the motor neuron, and then these are like the little dendrites that come off, and they all kind of go onto the little muscle, and then you'll have multiple muscle fibers that they're all attaching onto. So a motor unit is the motor neuron and all of the muscle fibers that it innervates. Fab. Nice. Okay. Anybody want any more questions? I appreciate we've been going for 35 minutes already, which flies by the way. I've put in the 101 mock questions. So if you're not working towards your level 2, but you're working towards your level 3, hop on there, follow that link, and you'll be able to enter your email address, and you'll get the downloadable 101 mock questions free straight to your inbox email straight away. If you've got friends that are studying for their anatomy and physiology, or class buddies, study buddies, make sure that they're on this as well, because we don't only just send this out, you then will get regular emails from us with more awesome fitness tips and knowledge base for your exam, get you ready. So get on there and download those. Fantastic. Jackie, 1 for planes of movement. Okay, yeah, let's do that. Let's do 1 for planes of movement. I had one earlier actually. I don't want to make it too easy. And what's that? Nope. And frontal, sagittal, and the other one. Transverse. Which is I want planes of movement. Come on, planes of movement. Where are you? Okay, right. This one's for you then, Jackie. It's from the 101 mock question, so it's level 3. In which anatomical plane does lordosis occur? So you need to know 2 things to answer this. A, your anatomical planes, and you also need to know what lordosis is. So, in which anatomical plane does lordosis occur? Is it A, frontal, B, transverse, C, sagittal, or D, coronal? So is it A, frontal, B, transverse, C, sagittal, or D, coronal? Now you might be able to exclude some straight away, but let's get that answer in. Let's get it moving. In which anatomical plane does lordosis occur? Right, I'm going to start explaining it, and I'm going to look forward to seeing some answers in there really shortly. So, in which anatomical plane does lordosis occur? So, first off, you need to know what lordosis is and what's happening with lordosis. So, lordosis is essentially this motion, so like a duck's bum motion, whereby they have this forward movement of the pelvis. So, if you put your hands on the bony bit in front, and then fantastic. See, okay, nice guess, Jackie. Okay, so from here, push your front 2 fingers forwards and your thumbs upwards, so that you get this like overarching in the back. Now, what action is that of your back? Action of hyperextension of the spine. So you're into hyperextension of the spine, and at the same time you get a little bit of flexion in the hip. They're the 2 joint actions that are happening in lordosis. Okay, now there's 2 ways you can look at this. You can either go through the joint action process of finding out about lordosis, or you can do what does it look like and where would you look at it from. So let's go for the first one. First one is joint action. You know that it's got hyperextension of the spine and flexion of the hip, just slightly. So if you've got flexion of the hip and hyperextension, and you know that only flexion and extension only happen in the sagittal plane, you would have put C, which is exactly what you did, Jackie, which is awesome, and that is correct. C, sagittal. The other way of remembering it, which I really like because I'm a simple person, I like simple things, is what did I do instantly? If I wanted to show you lordosis, I showed you it from the side of my body, because you can't really see it from the front, you can't really see it from above or from below, so you had to look at it from the side of the body. Now, the way to remember these, I've done this before on a Facebook Live, but you know, always good to go through it. Yeah, you got it. Like Lord with a big belly sitting in a chair, lordosis. Hey, lovely, Kelly. I love that. Okay, so nice way of remembering it. So if they're sitting in a chair, they've got flexed hip flexors, flexed at the hips, which means that they are in sagittal. So, way to remember. With an X. I love that move, that plane are best to look at, i.e. the most joint movement when you look at them from the side. So, for example, one exercise might be a bicep curl. To see the joint move the most, I don't want to look at it from the front, can't really see it. Can't look at it from the top, but I can look at it from the side. It's a sagittal movement that involves flexion and extension. Looking good, hey? So, sagittal is from the side. Does that make sense, Jackie? Is this clearing up the planes of motion? And then we've got transverse. Transverse is from the top, and this one's definitely the hardest to remember, but top, and it also is responsible for a lot of twisting actions as well, so a good way of remembering it is twisting, but top. Example is pec fly. Let's look at pec fly for a transverse action. There's horizontal flexion extension, it's also rotation stuff. So if you've got this horizontal flexion and horizontal extension, horizontal flexion, like doing a pec fly, where do I see the most amount of joint? Not from the front and not from the side, but from the top. So if I'm laying down doing pec fly, it's better that I get my trainer to literally look at the whole motion from the side, and that is how you know that it's a transverse action, because you can see it from the top. And predictably, a frontal is going to be from the front. So a frontal exercise, for example, would be something in the frontal plane. Give me something in the frontal plane. Shoulder press. So shoulder press up this way, and similarly, obviously, you've got lat pull down. So if you've got shoulder press, what way round would you view it? Would you view it from the front, or could you view it from the side, or is it better to view it from the top? Well, it's going to be from the front and from the back, isn't it? You might say back, but there isn't one with a B, so we're safe. Front and back. So front and back allows you to see that shoulder press, lat pull down motion much better. Lateral raise, another one on there. Lateral lunge off to the side. So I hope that works for remembering your planes of motion. Frontal, transverse, sagittal. Use the first letter and think about the action that you're doing. Now, lordosis, same motion. It's here. Whereas if I said scoliosis, so this is for everybody watching. Scoliosis. So think about, what is that posture? Almost go away then. What is that postural compensation? What's happening in the spine? Is that frontal, transverse, or sagittal? Leave coronal was an option. That wasn't an option. It's a red herring. So does scoliosis occur in the frontal, transverse, or sagittal plane? Now you can use this motion to find that out. We're upside down. So use this to help. Scoliosis, that's a postural compensation, but what plane of movement does that occur in? Is it frontal? Could you see the most of that scoliosis? So first off, what is scoliosis? Could you see most of it from the front? Most of it. Jackie, you are on it. Perfect. So frontal, because it's doing this up the spine, in line with where I am. It's this S and C curve, or so either a C shape or an S shape, and you would see it better and the most amount of movement from the front or from the back. Jackie, you got it. So, you guys have been amazing today. So I want to give you something. Obviously, I've just given you loads of anatomy and physiology mock questions, but if you've already got them, then I want to give you something else, which is, pop it in. Oh, I didn't press go on that last 101. Sorry. Oh, my computer is frozen. Don't freeze on me now, please. Wake up, computer, wake up. Bear with me. Stay with me. And there is your gift. So, I'm not sure if 101 went in there, actually. Did 101 even go in there? From you all? Yes, it did. Okay, lovely. So, this little gift that I'm giving you, and this is going to go on the YouTube as well, is essentially the very first module of our Revision Mastery Series, Level 3 for Anatomy and Physiology. You get 53 minutes off the top of my head, 53 minutes of absolute content that we cover for the heart and circulatory system. This is everything you need to know about heart and circulatory system in the preparation for your exam. It comes from our Revision Mastery. It's totally exclusive. You also, when you scroll underneath it, you've got, you don't even need to put your email address in for it. It's there. You got it straight away. You've got a cheat sheet that will help you, and you also can download it to MP3 as well, which is an audio file, so you can listen to it on the go. Then if you look underneath that, you'll see that there is also an offer on there for the full revision mastery series. But the reason why I'm giving it to you is so that you can use it. So use that link to get that actual module, heart and circulatory system, everything you need to know for level 3. So, Kelly, the level 2 mocks you have anyway, because they're on the inside of your revision mastery series, so you might be better getting it from there. However, that's the one that I put on there first. So if you go all the way up to the comments, it's the very first comment that I made, and it has 88 mock questions. It says level 2 AP 88 mock questions. That's what you're looking for. Have a quick little look, double check that it's on there, give me a little thumbs up. If not, I'll post it back in. So you should have 3 different links on here today. You should have 88 mock questions, which is for anatomy and physiology for level 2. Then you've got one for 101, which is for level 3 anatomy and physiology, and they're all mock questions. And then you've got that final one. So much better than the ICS content they give you. I don't know ICS, Jackie. Fab, I've done them. Yes, Kelly, you have done them. Good. All right, fantastic. Jackie, I don't know ICS, but a lot of the stuff is sometimes quite dry. So it's me teaching it, so you know how we teach. Nice and straightforward. And it's at the end of the day, everybody learns differently, so it's nice to be able to have something a little bit more interactive. I literally need to scoot because I've only just seen the time. Please keep the questions coming in, and we will go from there. I will, if you've got questions, I will endeavour to answer them straight up afterwards, even if they're sort of typed in once I finish this stream. So give me a thumbs up, let me know that it's been useful doing it as a mock question refresh. Also, as well as the thumbs up, if you could pop in a little comment about the things that you really learned from today, that would be fantastic. What are you going to take away with you? What's the big things that's kind of settled in your head? We've done quite a lot today. We had the law of the 1s and 2s for the axial and appendicular. We had osteoblasts, build, and osteoclast collapse, more alliteration. Then we had muscle spindle and muscle and GTO. We also had a muscle unit. A motor unit, and then we had our nice little trick for frontal, transverse, and sagittal, how to remember the planes of motion. And that's a wrap. Thank you very much for your time tonight. I hope you have a lovely evening planned. I have made my dinner, and I'm going to go and have a picnic on the beach. How's that for a life? I love it. So I'm going to go and enjoy the beach and enjoy the sunshine. I hope you have a lovely evening. Pop your comments in below, and I will get back to them as soon as I possibly can. All the best, and thank you very much for joining in today.